the title is a title of the talk, or just something to think about, is this: doing good is good for business. And this is something that Richard Branson, who founded Virgin, says. Doing good is good for business. And I really like this because it kind of throws away all the labels and the boxes that we like to create for so many things. The idea is that any business can actually do good, and you don't have to label yourselves as one. Now, many of you may say, is this a thing of the privileged? I mean, do you have to be rich and have quite a lot of money and, you know, to be able to say, I don't want to drink out of straws, I'm going to have this cool, you know, 200 ringgit tumbler, you know what I mean? And a lot of people may go, well, I need a straw because the environment is dirty, I can't afford it. Like, do you know what I mean? We know that our dollars have an impact, right? So your dollars have an impact. And another way of putting it is, another way of putting it is, in a positive way, is what are the power of your purchases, right? So for better or for worse, your money has power. And so I think people are recognizing that, hang on a minute, I as a consumer actually have a lot of power, have a lot of authority, and what I think, what I feel about something can be translated into where I spend my money and who I spend my money with. Because every time you spend your money, you're impacting somebody. You're helping that guy who sells burgers make a living. You know, you're supporting his supply chain. And you can think about this in your companies that you work in, when you go to the supermarkets, the businesses that you buy, you spend your disposable income on. That is power in that. And so today I want to talk a little bit, you can jump to the next slide, and talk a little bit about what I'm doing, and the next bit as well is fine. So today talking a little bit about balancing social impact with financial sustainability. Like I said earlier, you may work for a company that is in a traditional business model. It's all about maximizing profits at any cost. Not sure that's the best way to go. You may work for a company that's a social enterprise, a social impact business. You may work for a nonprofit charity. So we label and the business models of all these different enterprises, but very much we're all on this spectrum. If you imagine the spectrum of all the different businesses and how much impact they make. My argument is that all businesses today should have an impact, no matter how big or small. Your social impact should be embedded in the DNA of a brand, no matter how you want to label yourself. However, the purpose of today's discussion in talking about social enterprises or impact businesses, perhaps in order to understand things or to make things easier, we create parameters or we create boundaries. And so we say, in order to be a social impact business or a social enterprise, you need to achieve this amount of impact. And this is what it looks like. And then you can call yourself a social enterprise, right? And then you have nonprofits who don't make any money. They're not meant to be profitable, right? But it's important, like I said, even though we may go into social impact today, always keep your minds broadened to the idea that if in any capacity that you're in right now, you can still have that impact. The impact can still be there in various different ways that are suitable. So the kind of three areas we're going to be talking a little bit about today is, first is, it's still a business. So whether you label yourself a social impact business, social enterprise, a lot of people think, oh, you're a charity, you're meant to help other people and do good. Well, no, you're meant to make money. And if you don't make money, you can't make an impact. So what's the point, right? We'll go into that a little bit later on. The second is, your actions need to equal your words. Credibility is everything, especially in the impact space. And in fact, I think for all businesses, when customers are more discerning nowadays, when they see that you're not being truthful and honest and authentic, they may stop buying your products. So do your actions equal your words? And finally, building blocks. Here are some of my thoughts on key elements that I find to be very important in growing a business. Next. So here's a little bit, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an overview on FutureLab. So this is the jewelry brand. This is our impact business that we started 4.5 years ago. Firstly, it's important to really think about what you're actually doing, why you even started the brand, right? And so our evolution of the brand has actually happened over the years. Our brand identity, we changed from being initially, if you look to your left, you'll see the 3 impact points, right? Percentage for Fuji School, skills training, and employment for youth. So these were the 3 impact points we started with because we work with refugees, we would offer them hands-on business skills training. And then we would offer them employment opportunities where they could earn an income, which is a big challenge for the refugee community here. And finally, the overarching impact point is a percentage of our profits get channeled back to the running of the school. And so this is what we've started off. And if you see the evolution over time, we've actually put a lot more emphasis on the first one, percentage for Fuji School, because we realized that's, for our business model, that's more practical and more real, and that's where we can have the biggest impact, right? So your brand does evolve over time. And then our tagline, consciously made, beautifully worn, being conscious about your decisions, being conscious about what you wear, to show to them that we are a brand that is conscious, but connecting with our customers who say, hey, I'm also conscious too about what I spend my money on, and I want to make a conscious decision to buy jewelry that is beautiful, but actually has an impact. And finally, jewelry that tells a story. So through our imagery, through the stories that we tell, it's really showing the human story of connecting with our customers, connecting with our audience. Our challenge to ourselves is, while staying true to our impact, our challenge to ourselves is, maybe we don't need to talk about refugees in that word. Maybe we talk about the human story. Maybe we connect with people based on the fact that you're human, I'm human. We all go through tough and challenging things in our life, and embracing the idea that we're of diversity, we're all different, we all bring different things to the table, embracing the fact that all human beings want to belong, so the sense of belonging, and we all have emotions, and that we can connect on an emotional level. These jewels you wear so close to your skin carry a message, carry a story, and that can be your story, how this resonates with you. So to the first part I mentioned a little bit earlier today, it's still a business, right? You know, very often people, when they start social enterprises, they're like, oh, okay, I want to help people, I'm doing in charity, people will support because I'm doing something good. That isn't the case. So at the end of the day, you're still a business. You still need to make money if you want to make an impact. So something very critical to think about is it profitable? Will your idea be profitable? Secondly is your product, is your service desirable? Is this a product or service that people are going to buy? Are they going to want to buy it again and again? And are you happy with it yourself? Do you think it's got quality? Do you think it's good enough? And then thirdly, you have to look at scalability. It's one thing to get your friends and family to buy your product because you're an impact business, but after 6 months, after 1 year, after 5 years, are the same people still going to buy your product? How do you expand? How do you get more people to buy your product? So really, ultimately, I stress this again with impact businesses, you still have to make money in order to have an impact. No money, no sales equals no impact, right? And that leads me to the next point. Why are you starting this to begin with? So I heard earlier that some of you actually have some business ideas on starting impact-based businesses. And so this is something for you guys to really think long and hard about. Why are you starting this business? What is your idea? Because recognizing, to begin with, business is very, very hard. Any business is hard. Even if you just think about making money and you don't think about anything else in your supply chain, it is hard. What more now when you need to think about the A to Z in your supply chain and think about, am I ethical? Am I conscious? Am I eco-friendly? Am I sustainable, right? Depending on what your business model is. That makes it a lot more harder and sometimes a lot more expensive. So be very, very aware of this. The second thing is, what is the problem you were trying to solve? So I cannot stress how much people claim to think about this, but really, ultimately, they don't think about this. Do you really know the problem you're trying to solve? Because if you're just going to run a business and you're going to say, okay, at the end of every month, I'm going to make burgers, and at the end of every month, I donate a percentage of my profits to a charity, that's fine. But if the impact and if the social cause is very embedded in your business model, if the people that you're helping are your employees, if the stuff that you're making is made by them, if your raw materials come from a certain village or a certain Orang Asli tribe or something like this, you need to really, really understand the problem you're trying to solve. So I would say, depending on some people, they actually work with a community and then they realize, oh, wow, this community doesn't have money and they can't get jobs. And then you come up, ka-ching, I have a business idea. So then you have to test it out. Does it really solve the problem that the communities face, right? And is your solution the best way to make an impact? You may go, this is a great idea, but is this the best way to actually make an impact on these people's lives or to solve the problem? And you've got to test it out. You've got to speak to people. You've got to get their opinions on it. You've got to talk to the communities you're working with if they exist. If it's an environmental one, is it financially viable? Who are your partners? Who are your stakeholders? You've got to be able to flesh it out and have an idea of how this can actually work, who you will work with, right? And then finally, how passionate are you? What is your stamina level? Because ultimately, it's going to be very difficult. It's an uphill climb. Things are not always going to be easy. And especially being passionate about what it is the core of your business, what is your core mission that you're trying to work on, having that very, very crystal clear in your head. So no matter if things shift and change a little bit, like even FutureLab, things have shifted and changed. If your core is very, very crystal clear, then you stay on the right track in terms of your ultimate goal and impact. So having the stamina along the way. And finally, who are you helping? So how well do you know the community or understand the problems that they face or the problems that you're trying to solve in the case of, say, the environment or animals or wildlife or pollution? How well do you understand this? Who do you know that is in this, who plays the game, who's in this area, right? And can you collectively look at how you can tackle this? This is a very, very important thing to look at even before you begin. So I would say, once you come to the idea that, hey, I'm starting a business, this needs to make money at some point. Secondly is really think about the impact message, the impact story, and the impact value chain that you're actually looking at, and speak to the people around you.